listening to Smooth Jazz 105.9, Washington's unique radio station, and with us Steve Reid of the Rippingtons. You didn't get to play at Capitol Jazz Fest 95. How does it feel?
Well, it got pretty wet out there. I don't think we've ever experienced rain quite like what we had today. In fact, the crew's still drying off the gear. But we'll definitely be back, and we'll play twice as long and twice as hard next time. We were really disappointed we couldn't play.
I know the anticipation was there. I mean, the crowd was ready to go, and right at the time when Earl Klugh was finishing up, boom, the skies opened up. But you guys are on your way to New York now to keep playing. What's ahead for the Rippingtons here in 1995 as the summer draws on?
We've got quite a few festivals this summer, and then we're doing a whole Asian tour of about 6 weeks, Asia and Japan in September. And then we have a new Rippingtons record coming out in February. And I have a new one of my own, a new solo record coming out called Secret of the Himalayas, and that'll be out in September.
We have one of your solo CDs right here. Maybe you could pick a couple of tunes and we'll fire them up on Smooth Jazz. What would you like to hear? And maybe you can tell us a little bit about what went into making it.
How about Amazon Mist? The record's called Bamboo Forest, and it's basically kind of tropical, exotic instrumental music. It has a lot of featured guests, special friends on it. It features a lot of the Rippingtons. Dave Koz is a featured guest, Kevin Littau. And, give Amazon Mist a shot.
Here's Amazon Mist on Smooth Jazz 105.9. You're listening to Smooth Jazz 105.9. Our guest is Steve Reid of the Rippingtons, and Steve is in Washington for Capitol Jazz Fest 95. Unfortunately, didn't get to play today, but you will be back. When are you coming back through this way, do you think?
Actually, I don't know if we have anything on the books yet, but a lot of times when this happens, they try and bring us back a little bit sooner. So hopefully we'll get something booked soon, and we can come back and make it up to everybody out there.
You had Jeffrey Osborne sitting with you a while ago. Tremendous tune. How did that all come about?
Well, actually, we'd had admired Jeffrey for a long time, and we were throwing around singers to sing on that particular song, and Jeffrey's name came up, and we thought, well, I wonder if we could possibly get him. And it just so happened that Jeffrey was in between deals at the time, which made it possible to get singles rights and actually, do a lot of promotion, which with a singer of that caliber with another label, sometimes it's a little bit difficult with all the political things involved. So we were real lucky. It was the right place, right time, and he sang the heck out of the song.
Why don't we play that now?
Great.
You're listening to Smooth Jazz 105.9. Our guest is Steve Reid of the Rippingtons. How are you being received over in Europe?
We're actually starting to sell quite well over there. We're going over and doing a couple of shows this summer, and GRP is starting to get pretty much full distribution now all over the world. So we're looking forward to in the future doing more shows over there as much as possible, because it's a whole new audience, and I love Europe. We love playing over there.
As you travel and play, are there any upcoming groups that are catching your ear?
Oh boy, we play with so many great talented people. I really like who actually was on the show today. Warren Hill is a fairly new artist, which I really enjoy a lot, and Boney James. There's a new group actually which I was involved in the production of a little bit from Phoenix, Arizona, called Dr. Bombay, and keep your eye out for them. They're coming up strong. They've got a new record out that's doing real well.
Who else have you shared the stage with that has impressed you over the past year or two?
Well, I guess I've been fortunate in this music business to play with a lot of people that I enjoyed listening to even as a kid. I spent quite a few years with the group Supertramp, and some time with Nicolette Larson, and 4 or 5 years with Bobby Caldwell, which I just love Bobby to death. Most of my work has been on records. I've got a chance to play with Miles Davis and an awful lot of the jazz groups around town. I have a studio in L.A. where a lot of jazz is recorded in the LA area. So I wind up playing on 20 or 30 records a year at least.
What about some of your musical influences when you were growing up?
Well, being a percussionist, I listened to a lot of ethnic music from all over the world. Some of my favorite percussionists that are around today that I listen to a lot are Paulinho da Costa, and Ayrton was a huge influence as a young player to me, and we've gotten to be pretty good friends, and Flora as well, and he's still a wonderful influence. And Luis Conte, and there's so many great percussionists, but I try and keep my ears open, and I listen all the time, and I'm learning all the time. And basically for me, traveling around and getting a chance to go to some of the third world countries is the best learning experience of all.
What do you think of our man downstairs, Ken the Professor Fillmore on steel drum from Trinidad?
He's burning. I've been listening to him all night. He can. He'd definitely is right up there with Andy Norell. He's a great player.
Possibly someone from the band might sit in with him later?
There's a real good chance of it, yeah. The guys, a couple of the guys were downstairs, and I think they could be coaxed into sitting in.
What kind of drums do you play?
I play, actually, I use about 70 instruments live on stage, and I've got about 600 instruments at home. I play, with a band, I play congas and timbales and bongo, a lot of toys, a lot of sound effects. I've got bird calls from Africa and the Amazon. We do soundscapes, ocean drums, waterphones, a lot of exotic, unusual hand percussion.
So experimentation is your forte.
Yeah, basically colors and rhythms, a lot of tribal things. I get a lot of freedom in the Rippingtons, which is really nice. Russ lets me write all my own parts. I basically do the records on my own at my studio and produce my own parts when I'm playing, and it's been a lot of fun over the years.
Great. Steve, thanks again for your time.
Thank you, Thomas. It's been great.